Alright, so today we are discussing the powers of the Scarlet Witch from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the movies. So we won't get too much into her origin, but more so a deep discussion on the various abilities that she has. Now, the Scarlet Witch, or Wanda Maximoff, her powers do diverge into different paths. And here's what I mean by that. She has abilities that were afforded to her by the cosmic energies from the scepter that contain the Mind Stone, and she also has innate abilities from chaos magic. So we're going to get into the scepter based mind stone abilities that she was afforded. And the first one comes in the form of psionics. Now, when you're thinking about psionics are just basically, well, not basically, it's not a basic thing, but it is prowesses or powers of the mind. Now, from this, she is afforded an array of psionic abilities. The first comes in the form of psychic energy manipulation. So that allows her to shoot blasts, streams, or even waves or just bolts of her own psionic and telekinetic energy to strike down or to just aim on the object itself. She also has telekinesis. Now, telekinesis is the ability to impress upon an object through a form of communication, right? So think about it like this. There's an object in front of you, and you're literally moving all the molecules or atoms that make up an object from one point to another point itself. You're impressing upon an object with your mind. And in such, you are communicating with it, right? It doesn't mean the object is communicating with you, but it means that your mind has now invaded that object, right? All the molecules will now bend to your will of movement from point A to point B. She also has force field generation, meaning that she can create a field of energy or psionic energy around her. And that is basically to shield her from incoming attacks. And she can manipulate the shape of the barrier itself as needed. She also has mental manipulation. Now, we've seen her use this mental manipulation on the Avengers in the movies, where she ensnares them and places a hypnotic type dream state or just some form of hypnosis on them in order to confuse or to have them in a deranged state of mind. She also was briefly able to utilize, not briefly, but we've seen her briefly utilizing telepathy, right? And telepathy is another form of communication from one being to another being. Now, we know that she utilized this because there was a time where her brother Pietro did die, and she sensed it, right? She sensed that death, right? Because there was a connection, there was a form of communication, right, that went on. There are other parts in the movies that we've seen her use some form of slight telepathy as well, but any kind of telepathy, even on the smallest scale, is still telepathy. So sensing a change in someone is a form of telepathy. It doesn't mean that the person has to communicate with you in order for it to be telepathy, but just the sense of another, right? Or to experience someone's memories through this telepathic bridge is telepathy itself. The next one is levitation. Now, levitation is, in this sense, another form of telekinesis, but instead of her using it on an object, she's using it on herself, right? She's impressing upon her own state of being to move from one direction to another direction, from point A to point B. All right, so remember how I said her powers do diverge. One, a set from the Mind Stone, but the ones that she's already innately had. And this comes in the form of magic, right? She is a powerful magic wielder, but not just magic itself, but also chaos magic. So it actually it diverges a little bit farther. So the first one we're going to talk about, and this is the big one, is reality warping. Now, Wanda has the ability to create or rearrange matter on a molecular level, and thus being able to create, right, or shift things around in order to basically create the things that she wants, right, or rearrange things the way she wants. And she is seen using this in WandaVision, the show on Disney Plus, on a town itself, right, on Westview. She literally manipulates the whole entirety of the town and shifts everyone's houses, cars, themselves, right, to be these older versions of these characters from the 60s to represent these sitcoms, which is pretty powerful. But not only that, she was able to recreate um, she was able to recreate Vision himself, but also she was able to conjure uh, her sons, Billy and Tommy. And so the chaos magic goes into reality warping, and it is exactly how it sounds. Reality is warping. So let's go on to the next ability. And now I mentioned this a little bit earlier. This comes in the form of conjuring. Conjuring is the ability to conjure or manifest something, right? And this is another form of reality warping. Now, if we look at Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness, she is able to conjure beings to go after America Chavez, right? Or summon them, such as the ribbon creature, or Garagantos, right? And he goes after America Chavez. Now, there are other abilities that I've mentioned a little bit earlier, but they're still a byproduct of reality warping. For example, transmutation and also life creation, right? So she literally created life through Billy and Tommy, her sons, which is no small feat when you think about it. Similarly, she has energy absorption. She can absorb energy, right? This is shown in WandaVision when she's absorbing all of the energy that Agatha Harkness is giving her. What else does she have? She also has spellcasting. Now, because of her chaos magic, but also her link to magic itself, she can cast magic a lot better than other spellcasters, and she utilizes this quite well when she's using the Darkhold. Now, the Darkhold is created by an entity called Chthon, right? Of just pure dark chaos magic, right? And in this, we see her do things like dreamwalking, which is basically being able to send her consciousness into another version of herself throughout the multiverse. And of course, she has, if I'm saying of course, but if she could dreamwalk, she could definitely astral project, right? Which is basically being able to send her astral version of herself outside of her body to view or just to investigate things, right? So her astral form is basically a mental psionic form, right? Or a dreamlike form, right? We could combine the two with like a dreamlike form and a psionic form put together to that is manifested. Okay. Now, she also has power bestowal. What does this really mean, right? It means that she can grant others abilities. We know this is true because for her sons, Billy and Tommy, both Billy and Tommy had, not both of them, but one had super speed and the other one had psionics respectively. And this is showcased to just be a representation of Wanda herself, and also her brother, Pietro. And we also see her, and this is accidental, but we see Monica Rambeau also get abilities too. She gets abilities as well, but this wasn't a purposeful moment, okay? But it still happened nonetheless. Now, she also has small forms of time manipulation and also teleportation as well, right? Where she's able to get from one location to another location. We know this is true because in Westview, in the WandaVision TV show, she was able to instantaneously transport a character named Geraldine from backstage to inside a magic box, right? Now, you could question if this is just reality warping, where she just shifted a set of atoms from one location to another, but in reality, that is what teleportation actually is. It's when you're transporting a set of atoms, right, from one location to another location. It's just that she's doing it in the confines of this town, which is Westview, which is pretty cool. Now, we could go on and on, right? We talked about dreamwalking. She also has physical augmentations, right? Now, physical augmentations means that she's able to amplify, right, her physical abilities themselves, right, utilizing the Darkhold magic. Now, this can go in the form of her physical state, her strength, right, but also her speed. But we also see augmentation, physical augmentation, or changes being altered when she's able to go through a mirror and come out that mirror contorted, right? So she's changing her physical status, right? So that all goes into it. Now, when we're talking about her abilities, now remember, she was on the Avengers. She received quite a bit of combat training, but also some spy training from the Scarlet Witch. So overall, she is a powerful and capable character. This isn't a character that we're just like, hey, it's a Scarlet Witch. All she knows is magic, and she's not smart. She's also a tactician. Everything she did in Westview was basically a tactic, right? And then later when she fought Agatha Harkness, and also everything that she's done in Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness was high levels of tactical skills, right? So is Wanda Maximoff capable outside of her powers? Yes. Now when we combine her tactical abilities and also her combat skills in conjunction with chaos magic and psionics itself, and just her magic abilities, we now have a formidable character that would require probably all of the Avengers to go against. But the question is that I posed in the last video is, would Wanda Maximoff beat Jobu Tabaki from Everywhere all at once, right? So the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. Or could Scarlet Witch from the MCU, again, this is the Scarlet Witch from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, beat Jobu Tabaki? So we're going to do another video coming up where we discuss who I think would win, and also I'm utilizing all of the arguments that people put in the comment section as well to create another versus video. But with that being said, everyone, look out for that video. Comment in the comment section. This is Zen from Zen Multiverse saying peace, love, and prosperity. Enjoy your day. Later.